let Jeff get started. We will use our time as efficiently as possible, but as you have questions, just throw them into the chat and I will monitor it. Hello, Jenna. Hello, Jaleisha. Okay, chat's working for the Jays and AP. I'm not sure who that is. Hussein, May. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. Jeff, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Well, thank you all for coming for our training session today. As Jeremy mentioned, my name is Jeff Ratz. I'm actually a customer adoption consultant with RE/MAX of Canada. So essentially, I work closely with offices to help them make use of the different tech tools that we offer. The big one, of course, being Max Tech powered by Bull Trail. And Jeremy kind of mentioned that that has gone through a bit of a rebrand recently. It is still the same underlying platform that we've had for the last 2+ years, but it has gone through a little bit of an iteration. They've actually improved some of the navigation a little bit. I think overall it's been a really good change for us, and it is still the same platform we've had again for the last 2 or so years. So some people get nervous when we have changes like this, but it is something that we will just continue to work with, and we're always trying to improve it to make it just better and better for you guys agents. So. Before we get too far into things, I do want to quickly mention that if you have any questions after our training session today, our support team is really your best resource for any questions. Or if you have any issues you're running into, we want to make sure that those issues get resolved as quickly as possible, because issues that you're having are likely issues that other agents are also having. So if you are running into issues or if you have any questions, definitely reach out to our support team using one of the 3 methods that you see up on my screen. Directly within the Max Tech powered by Bull Trail platform, you will see a little chat bubble that you can use to reach out to the support team if you're having issues in the platform itself. You can also reach out to our support team by email at customersupport@remax.com, or you can even give them a call or even send them a text message using that little phone number you see up on the screen right there. So. All right, so if anybody does have questions while we're going through our training session today, feel free to put those directly into the chat. I will be monitoring the chat as we go through our session today, and I'll try and answer those questions as they come in. And we should hopefully also have a bit of time right at the end to address any questions we might not have gotten to during the live training. So, all right, so let's get into things. I'm going to close off PowerPoint here now, and we're going to jump into a live training session here. So for anybody that wants to follow along, please feel free to do so. Personally, I know I learn better by doing rather than seeing somebody do something. So if you do want to follow along with me, feel free to open now your web browser. And we're going to start by logging into our Max Center account. So to get to Max Center, just open up whatever your preferred web browser is. Go to www.remax.net. And that should bring you to the Max Center sign-in page that you're seeing up on my screen here. From here, you use your remax.net email address as your username, as well as whatever password you set up for your account when you initially set that up, whenever that might have been. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sign into my own account here. You will notice that I have a remax.com address, but when you're signing in, you would want to make sure you use your remax.net email address. And just so you're aware as well, we do also have a forgot username or password option right here. So if it's been a while since you've been in the Max Center and you can't remember what your username is, or maybe you just can't remember what your password is, you can always use this option right here to send yourself your username or to reset your password, either way. And failing that, if you just can't get in for whatever reason, our support team is very quick and efficient at getting people logged into their account, because they get probably dozens of calls a day from agents who just can't get into their Max Center account. We do have their phone number right down here, just to make that handy for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sign into my Max Center account. And the first thing we're going to look at today, once we get into Max Center, is I want to talk just briefly about a system we have called RE/MAX Hustle. And this is a really cool system for going and creating marketing materials that's customized to you as the agent. So you'll notice right down here, so if I scroll down a bit, you'll see this app section, which will basically show all the apps that I have access to through my own account. One of the apps should be this one right here, this one that says video and social content. And if you don't happen to see that for any reason when you're logged into your own account, what you may need to do is just click this all apps button, And that will basically show you a list of all the different apps or tools that you specifically have access to, including that one for video and social content. So I'll go ahead, I'm going to click into that. And as well, so that's how you get to Remax Hustle from within your Mac Center account. You can also just literally just in your web browser, just go to remaxhustle.com, and you'll notice that right up here, that will bring you directly to the Remax Hustle website that we have set up in this case. And what I wanted to show you here, there's actually lots of different things you can create here, but a couple of the ones that I think are maybe a little bit more useful that I find are things like, if we just scroll down here, what I wanted to show you here is a very simple one for creating a digital welcome mat. So you'll notice if I click into this one right here, what it's going to do is it's going to give us a number of different styles of welcome mat that we have. So let's just kind of look at what we have available here. I kind of like this one right here myself. So I'm going to click into that in this case. And you'll see it has a nice, and basically a nice image of a nice welcome mat that we have to work from. And what you'll notice is as we scroll down here, we can actually add information which is going to be applied over top of the image itself. So right now it just says welcome home. But if I wanted to, I can actually send this to somebody who I've maybe just helped them purchase their first house. And you can actually customize this for them specifically. Right, say right here, I want to actually customize this for the Smith family, let's say. Smith family. You'll see as I'm actually adding the text down here, it's actually overlaying that text on the mat, making it look like it's part of the original image. Right below that, we have the ability to put our own information in as well. So if this is something we want to create and we want to post out on social media saying, hey, you just purchased your first house, congratulations, here's your digital welcome mat. We can use this to kind of prop that up. And we can also give ourselves a little promotion with this as well. So you can see I can put my own name in here. Right at the bottom, it's actually adding that information. And then the last thing we can add is our actual office name too. So we can actually put in Remax, and it goes just like that. And as you can see, as we're typing that information in here, it's applying it in real time to that image. And once we're happy with what we have there, the last step now is just to save this image. So it's going to let us save this to our actual computer. And from there, we can send this as an email. We can post this on social media, and we do really whatever we want with that final image that we've created. So I just click on this. It should open up the digital welcome mat. And of course, it opened it up on my other screen, but this is our final image that we've created using that handy little tool. So, all right. So the next thing I wanted to show you here, I'm going to go back to the home page again, is we do have the ability with this Remax Hustle website to go and let you use some of the video assets that we've built, our marketing assets in your own business. So you'll see right here, we have an option to customize a commercial right here. And if we scroll down, there's even actually the ability to customize the specific Canadian commercials too. So we've done with those Canadian commercials, we have the ability for you to take those and use those for your own marketing too. So let's actually go ahead and use the Canadian commercials in this case. So I'm going to click on customize a Canadian commercial. And what you'll see down here is essentially, this is just sort of a wizard. You're just kind of filling in your information. So right here, I'm going to just use the standard Remax branding in this case, although we do have an option to use the collection branding if it's more of a luxury clientele that we try to work with, or even commercial. If we have a commercial agent that wants to do some of these assets, they have that ability as well. We'll stick with just the standard Remax branding in this case. I'm going to put my information in here. And as you can see, as we're adding the information here, it's showing a little card right here that is basically in real time adding that information to see what we're going to see publicly as well. So just quickly go through the steps of filling this in here. And as we're adding all those fields, you can see it's actually updating over here as well. And I'm just going to use remax.ca as the website in this case. And we can also even upload a headshot to this little image right over here as well. So let me quickly find one of my headshots here. one right there that we can use. And we do just want to make sure that the headshot is centered. So I'm just going to basically adjust this a little bit. Click the done button, and you can see it's actually added my headshot to this kind of this title card. Right down here is where we can choose which commercial we want to actually customize. So there's actually a few different commercials that are part of our current ad campaign. The first one is chosen right here is maybe a little bit longer of a commercial. This is almost a 2-minute commercial, so maybe that's not going to be our best option. But let's just go ahead and just choose a couple of the ones down. So let's say we want to use this one right down here. And we can actually use this one as well. I'll actually create 2 different commercials. You can see this is about a 24-second commercial, and we can get a quick preview of the commercial just by playing it like this. You get sort of an idea of what that commercial is like. And let's check this other one out here as well. I won't play through the entire commercial, just kind of for time's sake here. So let's actually, maybe what I'll do, I'm just going to narrow it down to just one. I'm going to stick with this particular commercial right here. And then from here, essentially all I have to do is tell it I want to now create the video.
Jeff, I like how
You'll see it will take a few seconds. It will generate that video for me. And I do see a couple of questions here.
Jeff, I was just going to say, I just like how you can choose the aspect ratio for stories or Instagram stories or posts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we do have a lot of different types of commercials that we're putting out now. They're not all that 16:9 for a TV.
Right.
A lot of them are more that vertical type of ratio as well. So, and I do see a question from Alex. Although we set up KvCore since beginnings, we don't get leads compared to Lead Street. So, so Alex, what you're saying is you're not getting as many leads as you were getting previously with the old system.
Yeah, I think so. Do you know how do you know how the leads generated compare in terms of numbers? And I don't know if that's 2 years ago was we started this 2 years ago. The real estate market was much better, so maybe there were more leads at the time, but I don't
Yeah,
know if it's the way it's set up or maybe the neighborhood or what do you think?
well, there's a lot of different things that can affect how many leads are coming in. That the new system does work differently than the old system. Like the old system used to set a postal code area, saying this is the area I want to get leads from. The new system is set up in such a way where leads really kind of go initially to the office, but they have to get to the office first, and it is a much different system. What I would probably suggest, Alex, is if you're seeing really no leads or very few leads coming in, I would definitely reach out to our support team and just have them do a bit of testing on your account to make sure you are set up properly to get those leads. So that's definitely what I would suggest. Um, that being said, I mean, there are going to be different market conditions versus a couple of years ago, and it is a different way that leads are routed versus how they used to with the old lead streak system. But in this case, yeah, I would definitely reach out to the support team and just ask them if they can just verify everything is set up correctly in your account. All right, so yeah, back to our video right here. So what you'll notice now is right here, when we actually go to play the video that we have created, so we just have to play through right to the end of the video in this case, so we can see what is actually done to the video that we have. Oh, and thank you, Jeremy, for putting the support phone number into the chat. There we are. So you can see that right at the end of the video, it's actually added a card to the video, which has my own information. So we're taking that existing part of our marketing campaign and we're making it customized to ourselves. So this is something that once we've created this video, we can download that video and we could either upload that to our own YouTube account if we wanted to, or we could post it directly to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, to any of our social media. So these are very social media friendly videos. And it's a nice way to take some of the assets that we've created and we've paid for to use them in your own marketing. One last thing I did quickly want to touch on here. We have to kind of get over to Max Tech, but I also wanted to mention with this Remax Hustle website that we have, there is a very functional video editor built directly into the site as well. So rather than just using our standard commercials that we've created and adding your own information to that, we have a very functional editor for going and creating your own videos. So I won't get into a lot of detail with this one just because we're kind of limited for time, but I wanted people just to know that this is an option here. And you can see, so it has a few different examples for different types of videos that people might create. So maybe you want to create a neighborhood tour. So really, these are just to give you an idea of the sorts of things you can use this for. So you can create like a listing ad, a market update. And what I like about this as well is this is also created in such a way where you can create different ratios of different video sizes. So if you're creating something more for social media, you can have it be a portrait landscape or square, or if you're trying to create a standard type of video to be put on it like a YouTube account or something like that, you can also go with the standard landscape video format. We also have a few different lengths of video, so anywhere from 15 seconds to 30 seconds up to as long as 3 minutes or longer as well. So let's go with like a 15-second with the landscape. And just like before, we just kind of fill in the blanks with our own information right here. We can upload our own headshot as well. And what you'll see on this next step here is what it's going to do is actually going to bring up an actual video editor that works directly through our web browser. So this is something where we can actually put like an intro card. We can actually insert some images along the timeline here, or even take video clips and actually piece them together here. So it is a quite a powerful video editor that all works directly through your web browser. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. A lot of people aren't aware that we have that built into this Remax Hustle website as well. But it's an extra way you can actually use that and actually go and create your own videos from scratch. All right, so let's now jump back over to Max Center and close off that tab in my browser. And what we're going to look at next here, I kind of want to quickly touch on one thing. This is going to be a little bit of review from some of our previous training sessions, but I do always like to mention while we're in Max Center that we do have our actual profile information that all pulls from your Max Center account, and that feeds out to a lot of different places, including your Max Tech powered by Bold Trail. But it also feeds out to sites like remax.ca, feeds out to the global website, global.remax.com. That feeds out to your agent, office, and team website. So it is very, very important that you have your profile information correct in your Max Center account because it does feed to so many different places. So if you want to go in and check out to see what you have in your profile currently, you can actually click your name in the upper right corner of your Max Center dashboard page. And you just have to click Update Profile right here. And just curious, would somebody mind me just kind of quickly jumping into their account, or is somebody willing to volunteer the use of their account just so I can quickly show you what it would look like in terms of an agent rather than what I see when I log into my own account? If it is okay for somebody for me to use somebody's account, just put something into the chat letting me know that that's okay for me to sign into your account. And I wouldn't need your username or password. I have the ability to impersonate accounts through my own account. So we just basically need your name and that okay to go ahead into your account.
Someone get the benefit from this.
Okay, so it looks
Jalisha's
like
in.
Jalisha has given me permission. So let me just quickly see if I can find Jalisha.
The Jays are quick on the draw today.
Yeah.
Just missed Jenna.
So there is Jalisha right there. And okay, so let me quickly log into Jalisha's account. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. So what we'll see here, rather than what I see when I'm in my own Max Center profile, you'll see there's a lot more options here along the left side of the page, including there's actually even a team section right here. So it looks like Jalisha is actually a team leader in this case, which means that she can go and update some team settings through her account as well. But what we're primarily looking at is going to be this section right up here, where you can go in and update all of your own profile information. And what I also like to mention here, we have an MLS affiliation section, which is how we connect your actual listings to your account. I did go through the exercise of working with your admin team to get this updated for everybody recently. So this isn't probably something you have to worry too much about right now. But just keep in mind, if you ever want to update any of your profile information in Max Tech powered by Bold Trail, you'll actually have to go and update it here and then let that then feed into your Max Tech account. So just something to be aware of. Just something to check in from time to time as well. If you happen to change phone numbers, if you get a new headshot, this is where you can come and update that new headshot. If you change your email address, all of that type of stuff is information you want to update right in your Max Center profile. All right, so let's jump back over to Max Center again. Close that off for now, Jalisha. So the next thing we're going to go and look at is we're actually going to go and jump into our Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail account. So looking back at our Max Center dashboard page again, what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for this icon right here, this one that says Platform Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail. So this tile to get into the Max Tech account has been updated with that new branding. It looks very similar to what it looked like when it was called Max Tech Powered by KvCore, but it does have the Bold Trail branding applied to it now. So if we go ahead and click on that, that should load us directly into our Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail dashboard, and we'll be able to actually see what was actually changed over the last month or so since we actually did that rebrand. You'll notice if you haven't been in here recently that this section along the left side of the page has changed looks a little bit. I kind of prefer how it looks now versus how it did previously. Previously, you would have seen that there would have been just little icons here, and you would have to have actually moused over that to get a description or a name of that specific section. So I think this is a little bit more user-friendly here. You can see just at a glance, I want to look at my contacts, so I can click into contacts. Or I want to look at my listings, I can click into my listings. And I see a question from Jenna. I can never get into this screen. I just get a rolling circle. So basically what you're saying is when you click on this tile right here, it's just going to like a circle, kind of a spinning circle essentially. Actually, I can if I go to Chrome. Interesting. So what browser do you typically use, Jenna? Out of curiosity. Safari. Okay. So I do find the occasional issue with specific browsers. Safari can be a little bit finicky with Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail. So usually Chrome is the one I find that we have the most luck with. What you may want to try though is you might want to try clearing your browser cache in Safari and then just try again. And that might fix the issue for you. Or you can also try going to it in a private window or an incognito window, depending on your terminology based on your browser. That will sometimes fix some of those little issues you might run into. But generally, I see this working the best, usually with Chrome, because that is one of the most popular browsers out there. Great question, though. Thank you very much. All right, so looking at our dashboard page here, what I wanted to quickly look at here is I want to show you that we do have an actual profile in our Max Tech account as well, just like we do in our Max Center account. But I'll just quickly jump in here. So I'm going to click on my profile picture. I'm going to go into this My Profile section. So what you'll notice here when we go into our Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail profile is if we click to edit our profile, most of the information we have here is going to be grayed out. And the whole intention behind that is that we don't necessarily want you updating a lot of this information in your Max Tech account. We want to have you update it in that one central Max Center profile and have that feed into here. What you will find here, though, that things that you can update here, so things that wouldn't necessarily be applicable to Max Center are going to be things like, for instance, right down here, we have a section where you can actually set an email signature connected to your Max Tech account. When you set an email signature here, it's going to apply or it's going to add that signature to the bottom of any outgoing emails from your Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail account. So if you're actually using the CRM, if you're connecting your clients and sending out messaging to those clients from your Max Tech account, this will automatically add that signature to make those outgoing emails look a little bit more professional. So you can set your signature right here. What you can also do here is we do have a section right up here. So if we go into settings, we have a couple of things that we can actually set right here. So we can actually, first off, the first thing you can see here is we can make it so that all of our contacts that we add to the Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail system are going to be private to ourselves. So if we're taking our own contacts and we're uploading those into our account, those can automatically be private to you so that you are the only one that can see all of that contact information and all that communications back and forth with that specific person. So as long as this is turned on, which it is actually turned on by default for basically everybody, then when you add your contacts, those are just your contacts. The only thing you can see is well, you can see the contact information, but nobody else, your admin, your broker can't see that information from their accounts. What you'll also see here is we have an option to turn on daily call creation as well. So when we turn this function on and set the statuses that we want to be included in this, what the system will automatically do is it will actually randomly create a list of people every day for you to call based on the criteria we have set right here. So we can have it set so that all of the people in our contact list who are Sphere contacts or clients or under contract, we can have it automatically generate a list of those people so that every morning we can get on the phone and make a nice check-in call to those different people. So it's as easy as just basically coming in here, setting the status, and we can actually set how many calls we want to make every day as well. So we can set how many of those will actually be put into our account for us to basically make those calls. So we can set as low as just 1 or 2, or we can go crazy and say we want to have 10 calls per morning, and we just basically set those settings right here. The other last thing that we can actually set with that is we can set the time that will actually prompt us to make those calls. So if we have a certain time of day where we want to start off our day by making all those calls and getting those out of the way, we can set that specific time right here. All right. So let me just see here. Okay. So let's go over to our dashboard page again here. There's a few things I wanted to mention on this specific page. So first off, what I want to mention is we do have a section in the upper right corner of the page where we can actually go and install a mobile version of the MaxTech powered by Bold Trail system to our smartphone. So with that installed, that's going to eliminate the need to go and sign into your MaxTech account on a mobile browser. And it's going to be basically created so that it fits properly on your smartphone. And it's going to be a lot more efficient to work in your MaxTech account through that app versus trying to do that through a web browser on your smartphone. The other really cool thing that that does for you is if you're finding that those lead notifications, they're kind of going and maybe coming into your junk mail folder when they come in, this actually is going to allow the app to send you push notifications directly to the app. So when you get a lead coming in, or if you get a response to any of your outgoing emails, that's going to push directly into the MaxTech Powered by Bold Trail app, and you'll be able to actually respond much more quickly to that person through the app versus trying to do that through a web browser. So we do have the MaxTech CRM mobile app, which is this one right here. There's a couple of links where you can actually basically text message yourself a link to download the appropriate version of the MaxTech Powered by Bold Trail app. So this is going to depend on whether you're on an Apple iPhone or on an Android device. You can actually just text message yourself the appropriate link using one of these 2 links right down here. A second app that we have connected to the MaxTech system as well is we even have an open house app. So this is really handy if you actually host a lot of open houses. This is an app you can load onto a tablet device or onto your smartphone, and you can use it as sort of a virtual sign-in sheet for anybody who attends that open house. So say they walk in the door, you can hand them a tablet and ask them if they would mind signing in. And at that point, when they fill in their information, it's capturing that contact data and it's putting it into your CRM. And it can also label those people based on the fact that they're attending that open house as well. So it can actually tag them a certain way, letting you know that they came into your CRM from that specific open house on that day, let's say. So that's a really, really cool way to kind of capture some information. And it also allows you to follow up with those people after the open house with maybe more information about the property that they visited, or to let them know about other properties that maybe are coming on the market, or maybe other upcoming open houses they might be interested in as well. Oh, and I see a question from AP. Can you explain how to set this part? We do receive notifications, or do we receive notifications? So are you referring to what I mentioned about the lead notifications, AP?
Yes, yes. Hi, Jeff. It's Azadeh. Yes. If you can please explain that part that because I was the other day I was trying to use that to set up the calls and also send notification to the
Okay.
clients based on, for example, the anniversary of their closing or their birthdays. Is it the
So
part
that
that we need to use or there's some
so
other?
is that back here in the profile section where we were setting up the daily call creation? Is that what you're referring to?
Um, yes. Let me just.
So
Yeah,
we have this section right here for setting up the daily call creation.
correct. Yes.
Okay. So we can actually have it auto create those calls for us as long as this is turned on. We can also set the contact statuses. So based on how we have those people entered in our system, we can say, I want these calls to include people that are my sphere contact or people who are labeled as clients. We'll be looking at the CRM as well in just a minute or so here. So we can kind of look over what those different statuses mean and what they can do. But this is all based on what you set for the statuses and essentially how many calls you want it to generate per day as well.
So
That,
this is sorry to cut you. This is basically agenda that we set up for each day for ourselves, and then we receive a notification in our email, or we need to sign into KvCore to see this.
it would typically send you an email notification, although if you have the app installed that we were just looking at, it should send you a push notification right to the app as well. So it'll actually notify you within the app. And on your smartphone itself, it'll actually push a notification right to your screen that you can tap into to get into those daily calls.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, yeah, no problem. All right, so let's go back to the dashboard again here. So yeah, I do like to mention a lot of people don't have that app installed, and I find that a much more efficient way to communicate with clients if you have that app installed. It's going to make it your life a little bit easier rather than trying to work exclusively through the web browser. All right, so looking at the dashboard page, there is one other thing I wanted to mention here as well. If we click on our profile picture again, what you'll notice up here is there's going to be a phone number in that menu that comes up, which a lot of people aren't really familiar with in a lot of cases. Essentially, what we have with that phone number is what we call the office's smart number. And all of the outgoing communications that are either by call or by text message will actually be sent to clients from that specific number. So you can kind of think of it as like another office number that we have that we can communicate with our clients through. So let's say you're actually trying to send out a text message to somebody. When you send that text message, it's going to appear to come from this number, but this number, because it's set up and connected to the system, that number is actually used in such a way where it can actually intelligently route text messages back to you through that number as well. So if you send a message out to somebody using that number, when they respond, the system is smart enough to say that person is connected to you and will route that text message back to you. And it's going to work the same way. If somebody were to call that number, if one of your clients were to call that number, as long as they're connected to you in your Max Text CRM, then that call will also be routed back to you as well. So just another thing to kind of be aware of. We do have that additional number. And when you're working with your clients, you can actually say, well, this is my cell number, but I may also reach out to you from time to time from this smart number, essentially. So if they add both of those numbers to your contact in their phone, then if you call or text from that number, that's going to always pop up on the phone is coming from you as well. So just another thing to be aware of. I get a lot of questions about what this number is and what it's supposed to do. And it's just a way to route calls and route leads and all that kind of stuff through the MaxTech Powered by KvCore or MaxTech Powered by Bold Trail system. All right, so let's now jump into the actual CRM itself. Let's get into the kind of the meat and potatoes of the presentation here. So we're going to go into contacts right over here. So all of the leads that come into the system and all the contacts that we add ourselves to the system are all going to appear here right in this contact section. So you can always go in, you can find any of those contacts that you have in your system. And if we just kind of scroll through here, see there's quite a few contacts in our demo account that we have here. Let's just kind of use one of these to kind of go through what we actually have available in those contact records. So let's go into, let's say you go into Fred Flintstone in this case. So going into Fred Flintstone's contact record, what you'll see here is some of that basic information that we have for the person. So we have initially the person's name right here. We have, in this case, we have a phone number and an email address. So we may have some combination of one or the other, or hopefully we'll have both for all of our clients. You'll also see that we have different ways to label our clients based on what we know about them. So we have this section here for basically when a new lead comes in, depending on where that lead came from, that person may or may not be labeled as a buyer, seller. They could be labeled as a renter. As you add your own contacts, you can actually add vendor contacts or even other agents' contacts as well. If you want to communicate with other agents through the system, you can actually add them as agents in the system so that you can mass email those people that are all those agents as well. We also have, when we scroll down a bit, we have this way to additionally label people based on other information we know about them. So if we know that somebody is maybe an avid golfer, we can add a golfer hashtag, something like that. Or if you know that this person is looking to purchase in a specific neighborhood, you can add information about them based on what neighborhood they're looking for. So right here, you can see I've added Glenmore neighborhood, just so that if I wanted to find all the people who are looking for properties in Glenmore, I can very easily search based on that specific hashtag or any other neighborhood hashtag that we actually add to our system, essentially. So these are pretty much wide open. You can use whatever you want for hashtags. If I wanted to add, let's say I want to add a tennis player, we can actually add tennis, something like that. And we can actually add that as a new hashtag that gets assigned to that person. And then as long as we're keeping consistent across our entire CRM, we can use those different hashtags to filter and find just those specific people based on that information we know about them. What you'll also see right here, so right in the center of the page, we have this idea of having a client journey. So we're trying to progress with this person through from them being either a sphere, a prospect, or a new lead to hopefully being an active lead, to then moving into being an actual client where they've signed paperwork with you. And you're kind of trying to progress them through this status from a new or a new type of contact to being somebody that you've actually worked with and hopefully have closed a sale with. Oh, and I see a question from Jalisha. I see you have your hand up. Did you want to put a question into the chat, Jalisha?
Yeah, sure. It's just a bit of a lengthy question. Maybe I could type it out. It's okay.
Oh, you can just ask your question verbally if you'd like as well, Jalisha.
Yeah, so when it comes to hashtags, Jeff, like I find myself using anytime I think about something about the client, I use a different hashtag.
Okay.
But should I be maintaining my own record in the event I want to kind of do a mass communication, or does KvCore give me a list of all the hashtags I've ever used in the past so I can be like, oh yeah, I have people in there with this hashtag in there?
Well, typically when you start typing in a hashtag, if it finds something that's similar, it will usually suggest that hashtag for you. So if you start typing in tennis, if you've used tennis in the past, it will then let you click on that hashtag that's already in there, which will then keep it consistent across your entire CRM. There is a specific section where you can go and look at the hashtag you have in the system, but generally, as long as you start typing in a specific hashtag, it will suggest it if it's close to an existing hashtag that you already have. And if you keep that consistent, it's going to make it a lot easier when you start looking for specific people based on those hashtags as well, because you can search based on those hashtags when you're looking at the standard CRM. Right, so hopefully that answers your question. If you have any other questions, feel free to just ask them as well. So, all right. So looking at our client journey, of course, yeah, we do want to kind of progress people through this client journey over time. I do like to mention when new leads come in from a lot of those different websites that we talked about. So let's say a new lead comes in from remax.ca. those types of leads are labeled a very specific way when they come into the system. So essentially when a new lead comes in from a site like remax.ca, for instance, they will initially be labeled as being a new lead. And there are certain triggers when we look at the smart campaigns, and notice that there's certain triggers that can be based on this whole client journey right here as well. So when a new lead comes in, it does typically trigger a specific smart campaign that will essentially try to get a conversation going with that person. So based on this person coming in as a new lead, and actually there's one specific campaign which we usually have turned on by default, which will also look over here at whether the person is a buyer, seller, renter, vendor, or agent as well. And usually the buyer and seller statuses over here are also used for a trigger for certain smart campaigns that we'll be looking at very shortly as well. Okay, so what we have here, we have the client journey. Right below that, we have a section which is basically a timeline of all the things that have ever happened with this contact record in our account. So if we scroll down here, the very first thing that we'd always see with any contact is how that contact got added to your account. So that can be you manually adding that person into the system. That can be a lead coming in from a website. That can be a lead coming in off of a call. So however that lead ended up in your CRM is going to be the very first status or the very first activity that we see for any contact record. And as long as we continue to use the CRM to communicate with our clients, all of that activity is tracked right here. So every time you come in here and initiate a call through your CRM, that's going to give it a new activity or a new event. Every time you send an email to that person, that email is going to be included in here on the date you send it. Every time you send a text message from the system, all of that is tracked right here. So just makes it very easy to come in and find every time you've ever communicated with this person and what you discussed and what you agreed upon and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it very, very powerful to be able to track all of that kind of information for a person over a long span. The other things that we have here, if I just scroll down on the right side, you'll see a few different things we can connect to specific contacts. So if we have a specific smart campaign or a drip campaign that we've created that we want to enroll them in, we can actually add that campaign right here, or we can see what campaigns they're already enrolled in and possibly remove them from that campaign. So if they're part of a campaign and that campaign doesn't really apply to that specific person, we can always remove them from that campaign. Or maybe we've set up a nice holiday campaign and we want to enroll them in that campaign. We can very easily come in here and just add whatever campaign it is that we want to enroll that person in. You'll also see we have a section where we can add search alerts. So every time a new property comes onto the market that matches what that person is looking for, it can send them alerts letting them know about those new properties. Or down here, we can enroll them in a market report. So it sends them a regular market report every month or every 2 months or anything like that. So lots of different things you can do here that's specific to individual contacts, but there's also lots of things that we can apply at a larger level to multiple contacts or to groups of contacts. The last thing I want to show you while we're looking at a specific contact record is we're going to look in this little profile details section right here. So in here, you can see we can add additional information about the person. So maybe we want to add the person's spouse to the contact so we can keep track of both of them. So we can actually add that information here. If we want, we can actually add things like their birthday. So if we add their birthday information right here, their actual birth date, the system can jump in and can automatically send them a happy birthday text message or email every year on their birthday. Or right over here, if we know the last time they purchased a property, we can actually send them a happy anniversary of that purchase date every year as well. So it can send a 1, 2, 3, 4 year anniversary email or text message to them based on when they last purchased with you. So a couple of cool things where we can automate some of that regular outreach, and that just gives us more touch points with that person so we can keep ourselves top of mind with them. One other thing I did want to mention while we're looking at this section as well is we have this section right here for castle consent. For anybody who isn't aware of castle regulations, that actually stands for Canadian anti-spam legislation. And that relates to whether the system has the ability to communicate with a client, essentially. So what we'll see here, when we're actually adding new contacts to the system, we want to make sure that we put in that we have consent. As long as we do have actual consent from that person to communicate with them, we want to come in here and put in that we have express consent so that the system can communicate with the person. So there has been a few situations over the last few years where agents have been fined because they're trying to communicate with people who haven't consented to be communicated with, essentially. So we do specifically have that built into the system where if you don't have consent, the system will not let you communicate with that person until you get that consent. And I do want to specifically call out as well, when new leads come in from a site like remax.ca, those leads, when they initially come in, are going to have what we call implied consent. So if they're sending a request on a property, let's say, they're implying that you are okay to respond to them to help them out with whatever questions they might have. The problem with implied consent is that will eventually expire. So after a certain amount of time, the system will basically stop you from communicating with that person until you come in and actually get that express consent from that person. So very, very important. We want to make sure that we're not being fined for not abiding by Canadian anti-spam legislation. All right, and I see a question here. Let me just quickly go back in the list. Can you make an example of how to create a campaign? And are we able to import contacts for Outlook? Okay. Can you show that castle again? How do we get there, please? All right, so we're actually in the section for the castle consent. So I'll show you how to get to that specifically. So from the actual CRM itself, if you click into a specific contact record, and then from here, we need to go into the profile details. So under profile details, you'll see there is a specific section for castle consent. And there's basically two different types. There's implied consent. So a new lead coming in off a website will typically have that implied consent. Or if we have reached out and asked it, okay, if it's okay to communicate with that person and that person replied saying, yes, that's okay, we can come in here and change that to the express consent. So just like that. Okay, so the initial database. So one more question on the initial database setup through the support team. Will Castle be turned on to implied consent for records with email addresses? So I believe when the inside real estate team actually goes through the process of importing contacts for you, by default, they'll actually go to express consent, I believe. But that is something you definitely would want to check that, because if you don't have that consent set, you may not be able to communicate with those people through the system. So the other question we were looking at about getting the contacts in from an Outlook.com account.
Sorry, Jeff, can I quickly ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
If you don't have the consent set, but you can still send an email out to them?
Well, if you're able to send the email out, then that likely means that you have the consent set actually at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, you would want to probably check that to make sure that that's the case, but usually it won't allow you to send that email out unless it's set that you have that express or implied consent here. Yeah, it's just the way the system tries to keep you from getting a nasty fine is by making it so you can't communicate with that person unless you have that consent.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, definitely. All right, so as for the question about how to get contacts in from an Outlook.com account, so looking at the CRM here, you'll notice right up here, there's a little button that has an image of basically a letter. What you can do, if you click into that, it's going to allow you to connect either to a Google Mail account or to an Outlook Mail account. And depending on which of these you connect to, if you connect to your Gmail account or to your Outlook Mail account, what it's going to do is it's going to allow the system to start pulling in contacts from one of those two different email systems. So if you've been maybe exclusively working in Gmail, for the last few years. And when you want to get those contacts into your CRM so you can start working with people through your CRM, you can connect that account just by clicking here and then signing into your Gmail account. So that's a way to get more contacts into the system. Of course, you can always go and just manually add individual contacts into the CRM just by kind of going up here and just kind of filling in the blanks. What I usually recommend for people who are getting into the CRM for the first time is you probably want to actually add yourself as a contact to your CRM so you can test out some of the communications. You want to maybe start working on setting up your own smart campaigns. You can actually add yourself as a contact to your CRM and enroll yourself in that campaign so you can test it out to make sure that all those outgoing emails look the way you want them to. So I can do that here, just kind of quickly go through the steps of doing that. So I'm just going to quickly add myself in here. Fill in the blanks, and this is where we can actually say that we do have permission to connect with a person. So I can say I do have permission to call, text, and email this person. I'm going to give myself express consent because I'm giving myself consent to communicate with myself. And then right down here, you can see we put it in the person as a buyer, seller, renter, vendor, or any combination of those 5 different things. If that person is a buyer and a seller, you can select that right here. You can also set whether this person is a sphere contact, a prospect, an active lead. So I'm going to put myself as just a sphere contact in this case. And then right down here, as we're adding new people into the system, we can also right away enroll somebody into a specific smart campaign. So maybe you have a new smart campaign that you want all new people coming into the system to be enrolled in. You can select that campaign as you're adding them to the CRM itself. And once we have all those blanks filled in, we can just click add contact. And then that will basically bring me right into the contact record. And you can see the first event we have for this contact record is me adding the contact right here, right now. And I do see a question from Anuja. I think I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but there's a question about being able to import contacts into the CRM from another CRM, essentially. So we do have an option for that as well. If I go here into the lead engine section, what you'll find here is there's actually a bulk import option right here. So if you've been working in another CRM and you want to take all those contacts from that other CRM and bring them in en masse all at once, we can do that using this bulk import option right here. And there's kind of 2 different options here. There's an option for if you're a little bit more techie and you know how to go and kind of manipulate data. There is an option here for you to import that contact data yourself. So essentially, you go to your other CRM, you export a list of contacts, and once you have that list, you can then come to this section, watch this short little video about how to prepare that data to be imported into your CRM. Or if you're a little less techie and you want somebody to do that for you, there is an option right here where you can let somebody at Inside Real Estate handle the majority of that process for you. So you still have to go and export your list of contacts into a CSV file. But once you have that file at that point, you can then basically pass that along to Inside Real Estate and have them go through that import process for you. So a few different ways to bring those contacts in, manually adding in individual contacts, bulk importing, connecting to your Gmail or Outlook.com account are different ways you can pull that contact data into your account. All right, so we're getting a little short on time here. For the last few minutes that we have, we're going to be talking a little bit about the actual smart campaigns that we have on the system as well. So if we go back over here, I'm going to go back to the dashboard so everybody can follow how we get to this section. So from the dashboard page, if we click on marketing right here, and then right down here in the marketing section, we have this smart campaigns section itself. And then if we click into that, what you'll find here is you're going to see all of the campaigns that you have access to through your own account. Looking at our demo account here, you're going to see a lot more campaigns in our demo account versus what you see in your own account. But looking at these campaigns, you can see which ones, just as a high level overview, you can see which campaigns are turned on and which ones are turned off from this page. So if you're following along, you've gone to this Smart Campaign section, just looking at this page, you can see which campaigns are turned on by looking over here. So there's a little status slider. If the status slider is to the right, that means that that campaign's turned on and you can actually use that campaign. If the little status slider is to the left, it means it's turned off and you can't really do anything with that campaign, or you can't actually use that campaign until you turn it on in your system. Some of the campaigns that we have usually turned on by default, though, if I just scroll down here, you'll probably see that there's going to be two specific campaigns that are usually turned on, and it looks like somebody's maybe turned them off in this specific account. But the ones I like to mention here, so the two big ones that are usually turned on are this one right here, default new lead buyer. And you can see it's turned off currently, but if you're in your own account, it's probably going to be turned on in your account unless you specifically turned it off for your account. But this is one of the campaigns that usually will cause a lot of that outgoing communications, that automated communications with your clients. So just looking at this campaign, what you'll see here is this one is actually a campaign that's triggered automatically based on a couple of different statuses. So when we were looking at the CRM itself, we looked at the different statuses along the top of the page. So there was a prospect, new lead, there was active lead, client. This specific campaign is triggered based on leads in your system that are labeled as new lead. So all of those leads that come in off of the different websites are typically going to start off coming in as being new lead like this. And this one also applies to anybody who is in your system as a buyer in this case. So anybody who is a new lead, who's also in there as a buyer lead, that is going to trigger this campaign automatically, which you'll see right down here, the different actions that are part of this campaign. So a new lead that comes in, immediately when that lead comes into your system, it's going to message you, or it's going to basically prompt you to reach out to this person by email or text message to see how you can assist them. Also, immediately, you can see right here, the time is immediately. It's going to prompt you to give this person a call and leave them a voicemail message if they don't happen to answer that call. And then after 7 minutes, so actually minute number 7, the system will jump in and it will actually send them a text message on your behalf. So it's reaching out, basically just trying to get a conversation going with that person. And this is actually going to be the actual verbiage in that outgoing text message. So you get an idea of what this really is designed to do. It's trying to get a conversation going with that person, and it's trying to prompt you to reach out to that person as quickly as possible, because typically the first person who reaches out to a client is going to be the one who ends up working with that person. So what you'll see here, what I always encourage people to do is just go through all the campaigns in your Max Tech Powered by Bold Trail account, see if there's any that are maybe ones that you want to start using in your business. So that specific campaign that we looked at, the one for default new lead buyer, have to find it again here. So this is one of our system default campaigns. And what you'll notice is right now, all you can really do is view the different events that we have as part of that campaign. But if you like the idea of that campaign, but you want to maybe make some tweaks to it, change some of the outgoing verbiage or change some of the time intervals that things happen at, you can actually go and clone the campaign. So if I click clone campaign, what it's going to do is it's going to create a second version of that campaign. Once we have that second version in our account, we go back here. So what I did is I kind of pre-cloned that before our session today. And you see we have a second version here, which is default new lead buyer, and it says copy because it's a copy of the original. And that version, because I cloned it, it now opens up additional options to go and edit or remove any step of that campaign. So if we want to add maybe an extra email into that campaign, or if we want to add a task for ourselves or any other thing, any other event we want to do, now that we've actually cloned that and made our own version of that campaign, we can do those sorts of things. So we can add new actions right here. for whatever action we want. If we want to send an additional email, we can select that as the action. We can set when that action is going to happen, at what time interval that's going to happen. We can set exactly what it's going to say in that outgoing email. So we have full control over how that's going to work in our account based on just kind of customizing those and making those our own. One thing, I know we're just a little over time. One thing I wanted to show you guys quickly here, and I'll put this into the chat actually, just so everybody can actually grab that quickly before we close off. So I'm going to put a little link into the chat, which will bring you to a specific holiday text campaign. So this is something, just maybe read over this little article that I've just put in the chat. This is actually a really cool campaign because it's a campaign that you can be added to your account. Once it's added to your account, you can enroll any of your clients into that campaign. And all it's really going to do is it's going to send them a nice text message on any Canadian holidays that come up. So on Canadian New Year's, it's going to send them a text message, and this is going to be the verbiage in that text message right over here. On Victoria Day, it's going to send a message, which is going to look just like this right here. And if you just scroll down a bit here, there's actually even directions for exactly how to add that to your smart campaigns. So right here, it goes through the steps of where to go and how to actually add that campaign to your smart campaign section. And essentially, all it really entails is right up here, there's just this little unique ID code for that campaign. So if we basically just copy that code, go back into the MaxTech platform and go back to the Smart Campaign section, all you really have to do here is just click this little button, paste in the code, and then click the button again. And it's going to basically clone that campaign into your account so that you can start editing that campaign to make it what you want it to be. And once you're happy with the result, you can then turn that campaign on and start enrolling your clients in that campaign. So just something I like to mention, that one, a nice, really easy one to get started with using smart campaigns. You add that to your account, you turn that on, you enroll your clients in that, and then they'll start getting these nice holiday text messages regularly. Well, so. All right, so yeah, we're a little bit over time. I apologize for going over here. Are there any last few questions that I can try and answer for anybody before we close off? 50 BPS, great cut time. Have a great day, guys. Thanks, Jeff, for the session. Oh, great. Thank you, Alicia.
Hi, Jeff. I have a question. When you go to the contacts page,
Yep.
the email button on the top. If we choose a couple of, a few of the contacts and decide to email them with a generic info, like the same thing, the interest rate cut.
Okay, yeah.
It shows that on the top of that all of these email addresses can see each other. Is there any way that we can BCC them?
Typically they shouldn't. Let me just
So
try.
if you choose right now a couple of them, like the whole page, and go to the email.
Okay, so if I do email.
No, you should first choose. Oh yeah, you see on the top, it's a 2, and all of them can see each other.
Okay. That's interesting. I haven't actually come across that in the past. So what I might have to do, if it's okay, do you mind if I follow up with you after the session? I'm not clear on that particular functionality. I have to probably do a bit of testing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what I'll get you to do, if you don't mind, can you just send me an email and I'll follow up with you offline? Would that be okay?
Sure. What email address should I use?
You can just send it to JeffR, JEFFR @remax.ca.
Sure.
Awesome. All right, appreciate it. All right. Well, yeah, I'm sorry again, we're a little bit over time here. If anybody has any questions after the session, you can also send me an email directly as well. Or if you send a question to Jeremy, he can always pass those along to me as well. So my email address is jeffr @remax.ca. Thanks again so much for everybody joining in and for sitting through our little training session today. Hopefully you guys got some useful information out of that. But again, if you have questions, feel free to just send me an email directly. So.
Thanks so much, Jeff. We appreciate it. And Jaleisha just said a 50 basis point cut, which is amazing for us. I'm going to go confirm that, but I'm sure she's right. That's great news for the market. So lots of deals to be had still in December. Thanks, Jeff, for all your support and help and for today's session. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks so much. All right. Have a great day.
Bye.